Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Uncomfortable Talks. Today, we're going to talk about coping with mental health and, how we can navigate mental wellness and mental health in general. And I am waiting for my guest, Kassandra de Jesus. She's an amazing artist, a painter, and an artist in general. She's overwhelmingly impressive. Her artwork, I think it's very touching and incredibly, the use of color, it's so vibrant, expressing a lot of emotions and a lot of things. So I'm really happy to have her today for our conversation, and hoping that everybody here will enjoy the conversation and enlighten themselves about these topics, and also to open up open up these conversations, right? To really talk about mental health and mental wellness and everything that implies, because we are multidimensional beings, right? We're not always happy. We're not always sad. We have different stages in our, let's say, in the way we experience certain things. So it's important to talk about it and just be open about the subject without shame or judgment or fear. So, without further ado, we're going live with Kassandra. She's joining me right now. Hi!
I haven't seen you for so long.
I know, it's so good. You always look spectacular.
Right, I was running here from work and I'm like, I gotta make it so big.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Matching. I have like three in the back. This is really sweet.
Yeah, I see the plants and everything. So welcome to this Uncomfortable Talks. It's always, a little challenging to start the conversation because we don't know where to start. But let's just flow and pretend that we're together alone in our favorite place, and just having, a tea or coffee or our favorite drinks, and just having a conversation between friends.
So it's so crazy because I'm like, I don't even know where to start, honestly. I'm forever. So, imperfection is and it's
I'm
better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring.
No, I'm losing a little bit your audio. I don't know.
Hi, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah. Before I was just like listening to you very caught out.
Oh, it's probably because the stand that I'm putting my phone on. But is this okay?
Yeah, that is working perfectly now. Okay. This navigating technology. Well, we did say that we wanted to have this conversation today about, like the how to cope with, with how to achieve mental wellness, and how to cope with challenges that come with the different experiences of mental health, or the different nuances that we have in navigating mental health, right?
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, it definitely takes a balance of knowing that you are not only living your own reality, but everyone else is experiencing you living your own reality, And so when I say your own reality, it's the way I've been coping with my mental health, understanding that there's boundaries that needs to be set for myself so that I can be okay in social environments and intimate relationships, and vice versa. Because a lot of, for me personally, a lot of my mental health comes from a lot of the posts I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. So that means that something traumatized me. And so now I'm moving along life thinking about that constantly. And because my brain is so powerful, everything that I interact with can just randomly change and warp my reality to hear something that reminds me, or think of something that reminds me of something that had traumatized me, right? So if you're like going through a lot of trauma or an unhealthy relationship, after that relationship is done, it's almost like what happens to an animal when they take them out of an environment that they're so used to. They end up developing a coping mechanism for that. So it's like that's what happens when you suffer from any like mental illness, you know, and not a lot of people have the guidance and the right direction to go there with the people to support them with that kind of lifestyle, with that kind of interpretation of this human experience to me, you know? So it's like, I'm not a doctor. I am just an artist who is like suffering from mental illness because of when I was young, I was abused as a child, and moving forward, family and friends, things like that you tolerate as a child, you end up tolerating other things and experiencing experiences that is just uncomfortable. And then you just can't forget that. And you have these terrible habits, and then like, it's just a cycle. And yeah. And so like, I think that for me, what I've ended up doing was kind of recreating a ritual. Like, how do I want to experience life, right? After realizing, okay, I get what hurt me. I get why I'm like going through all this stuff. I get it. I know why. Now what? You know, what are you going to do now about it? You know, don't you want to live a different life? How are you going to control that? And at the very beginning, I was like, I went to a doctor for it. I was like, I need help. And they were like, well, here's some meds. And I'm like, I don't know about this. You didn't even hear my whole story. Like, how you think this little thing is going to help me? You know, and a lot of people were like, yeah, it helps. You should do it. And I'm like, I don't know about this. What if, you know, even though I personally have taken drugs to cope, regardless, the other kind of drugs that, you know, finally are legal.
Hey, no judgment. It's free judgment zone, right? So
it's uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable with me, okay.
No, I'm not, you know, like, as I was saying, we're human, right? We're not just black and white. We're not just, you know, evil or good. We have different experiences, and we honestly, we navigate the best way we can. And sometimes that leads us to use substances that might show us something, or might, you know, be more prejudicial than before. But that is for us to decide, and to, you know, to judge by ourselves according to our experience. It's not, you know, I think that the problem is when we generalize everything. That and what you're saying about like taking medication, or like going to a doctor that's just gonna, you know, like recommend that we, you know, just take this pill, it's gonna, you know, take the edge off. And you're like, well, yeah, but that's not gonna take away the mental processes, or the thoughts, or the behavioral and cognitive repetitions that I'm creating in my brain that keep me in this state. So I think that plus, you know, like therapy or like support or anything is the right balance. It's not always, I think everybody just wants to like suppress it with meds, and it's more complicated than that. It's not just taking a pill.
Exactly. I think that's why I lean towards, when I first started having issues growing up as a child, I'm like, how can I cope with this? Like, what's the first thing that you do? Where's the first thing you go? And my first therapy was art. And I always knew that this is the only thing that gets me out of what I'm going through. You know, this is something that I love to focus on. You know, I want to see my skill get better. And it's definitely helped me even express certain things when I didn't feel like I had a voice during the hard times in my life. And then I knew I was like, I have to be some type of art therapist, or I got to keep on. And, you know, life hit me with a lot of struggles for me to see what it's like to be in those positions that are really hard for people to deal with. A lot of people don't even know what to say when they come across those kind of topics, you know? And I'm like, well, at least God has blessed me with a storyline where, yeah, you want to be an art therapist? Well, I'm going to show you all the different things that you can go through. And can you cope with art only? Like, what else is there in this society that needs to be changed? And there's a lot that, you know, we can look at and where we live. And I came across this really cool documentary. It was almost like lessons about being creative, and kind of it came. I'm terrible because I can't really tell you the name of it, because it's something that was in Canopy. They have really great independent films there, and it was just a psychologist who was making this lecture about how creativity is what what our nation and everything around us is built on. So you gotta, so that's when I came up with the idea, like, well, if he's giving me the outline of how to break down creativity, then I have to use this outline and be creative about my lifestyle, right? Because I am an artist. Why not go above and beyond to see what kind of lifestyle can I really live? What kind of, if my brain has if I was manipulated with this trauma, right? And my brain said it started to be like this and hear this and feel this, then how can I manipulate myself again? How can I really heal? How can I let that go? And it's been a forever journey. And I feel like I finally have reached a point in my life where I'm okay, you know, and that, you know, it was a lot of writing. It was a lot of, you know, loving myself, knowing what loving yourself is. It was a lot of, you know, praying and traveling and seeing doors open with just, you know, really wanting it, really believing that it can happen, and a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
And not like, and I feel like a lot of people, I don't know about everyone, but I know that I know people who, once I mentioned God and how God helped me, I know some people will be like, what? Like, that's such a mind thing. But I really do believe in the power of speech too, you know, and I try to like figure out other ways to interpretate like how to really heal without, you know, believing in God too, because I want to help everybody. A lot of my friends are just like me, you know, like people who want to heal end up going with other people who want to heal too, you know, and
Absolutely.
we're like, you know, just the same, different experience though, different story, but we're bodies, you know. Anyway, what I was saying was that I developed a routine, you know, and kind of thought like, if this society has been experimenting on humans, how can I experiment on my daily life and push myself to have willpower to change up the storyline on my, you know, in my life. Like, even when it comes to how I visualize things, how I interpretate things, you know, really digging deeper into what makes me feel certain ways and why. And it's great because now my life is almost like a movie, you know, like I appreciate everything that connects, and finding yourself in tune, you feel like you're living like a dream, you know, divine comedy almost. You can't control, but you can control yourself, right? Like,
I love that. The divine comedy is like so cool, you know, like, yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's just, but it requires, as you're saying, it requires a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-compassion, and a lot of courage and bravery to really go there, to see, really, to go to the shadows and to go to the, also to the light places, because there's always a balance between light and shadow, right? And say, why do I see things like this? Why am I impacted with certain things? What are my, you know, like my triggers almost, you know, like saying, I understand what you're saying so deeply, because I mean, and even for people that are not artists, we're all trying to cope with how we want to live, right? And you have all these ideas of, I speak of my own experience. I have all of these ideas of shame, that if I am too, that if I live my life too much or too colorfully or too, like go into the depths of the shadows, like Edgar Allan Poe and everything,
That's so true.
everybody's exactly like everybody's going to judge me because I am a darker soul or tormented or I'm not
Yeah.
positive, and
Happens so.
it's it's not as simple as that. It's not that I'm one or the other, It's
Yeah. And it's funny that you're coping with how you see yourself in reality and then how other people perceive you. And I think that even admitting that you have a mental illness to someone, sometimes you get those reactions that you're like, ooh, I should have never said anything.
Yeah, ooh, okay, I opened Pandora's
Yeah,
box.
like, oh,
Sorry.
see?
Oh my
Start
God.
judging, so like, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's so intense.
Yeah,
But
it is.
yeah, I mean, I one time was in an art studio with amongst other artists, which I know that once you're in an artist space, everyone's supposed to be free to say anything. And this lady, it was in LA, and in LA, that's when I was like, it hit me in my face that like people are suffering mentally, and no one's giving a shit because we have a whole place called Skid Row, and there's 1,001 people there, and no one's taking care of them. There's not even a freaking water truck at least, like, and it's right next to the shelter. Nobody's getting like portable potties or anything for these people. Like, it's sick. It's like terrible, and then they wipe them out whenever they want, and it really opened my eyes to be like, holy man, like I thought I had problems, but then I come over here and to live a new life and everyone's just ignoring everybody's problems. You know what I mean? Like that's how I saw it. And I was like, this is sucks. How can we change this? And so I started talking a lot of people about it and stuff. And this one time I was in an art class, and it was a bunch of ladies, and it was close to Halloween. And this lady said, one of the artists was like, "Oh, I'm gonna dress up like a schizo," and I'm like, "What does that even look like? What does that even look like? Like a unhealthy, like what does that look like to you? And I'm like, I got so offended because that's when I was like, man, I'm suffering from that kind of stuff too. So it's like, how do I even
Yeah.
respond? I got so sad. I just get out. I left. I was like, fuck this class. I don't know how to act now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was so hurt.
I hear you and I feel you
My language.
so. No, please, like express yourself however you want. Like this is, I honestly, it's just, I hear you so much. Like, I think that the question for that would be, and I come up with a question because it opens more possibilities than just, responding back with anger. That's what I want to do. Like myself, I was like, fuck those people. Like, let's just build our own communities and live in forsaken places with like, let's put our own communities together and let's send the world to hell, right? But we can't. Like, it's the question is, how do we allow for people to make those mistakes in terms of their lacking of skills of communication and sensitivity?
Yeah.
And how do we not take it as a bullet direct to the heart? Because maybe that's not like, it's not to justify the idiocy of that comment, but it's also to say, well, maybe she didn't, like that person, or he or she didn't meant to hurt us. It was just like there is also not a lot of not a lot of education in these matters. Like a lot of people just walk blindly with mental health. They say like, oh, as soon as I'm normal, I cope normal life, I go out with my friends to the bar, I drink, I go back home, I'm with work, I finish my days of work, I watch Netflix, I'm a normal person, right? So I don't even know how to react to people that question themselves if they're actually going insane, or are they really, like, you question yourself. You're like, am I really seeing a different reality than the rest of the people? Am I really? And it confuses us.
I mean, yeah, it's, and I think that that's where it stems from. It's like this ongoing over and over thing. Some people just can't handle just the way things are set up. here to live, you know? And if you don't have the resources to guide you to live a different kind of life, what do you end up doing? You end up giving up. You end up accumulating a lot of fear. You end up, even some people, they live this lifestyle and they're just anxious and angry all the time, and they don't even know that they're just like everybody who can be out there, suffering from a mental illness, because we're just unhappy, I think. And a lot of people can argue, oh, it's a chemical imbalance in your brain. And I totally get that too, but when it comes to like the system, how it works, to me personally, I don't agree with how everything is, like I'm finally, a lot of people, I've been I've been coping for this for a long time, and I finally am taking medicine. This is the second day on medication.
Wow.
Just number 2. I'm just like, that's like, now that's step 2, to like bow down and be like, okay, maybe it is a brain thing. Maybe it is a chemical imbalance. There's not enough education on that for someone to feel comfortable, and
Absolutely.
The reason why I feel like I speak for schizophrenic people, even though I can't say I'm like everyone else. It's always different. Everybody has a different way of experiencing their reality. But I feel like if there's a disconnect from how everybody else is living, then that's not, I don't think that it's chemical imbalance. I think we should all be open-minded so we can stop this like ridiculousness. I mean, the pill is like this small. like, I remember my friend is like, my friend told me, oh, you take vitamins? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that just comes out of your pee. And I'm like, this little thing is just gonna come out of my pee. Like,
oh my God. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like a deeper problem about not having the resources.
It's just, it really is. And I go back and forth. Like, I'm like, I think I'm crazy. I think I'm just different, and I think that that's also a coping way, like, mechanism as well to, what's it called?
To get by?
Yeah, to get by. And not to get by, but like to like view my life. Yeah, to get by.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I just want to create a pause here and thank you for that. Was an incredible moment of bravery to share that here in like we're opening this up. Why did I choose to like open it up in like social media and everything? It's because like we're all the time in our social media. Where else are we going to start opening up these conversations, right? But I thank you for your vulnerability and for your bravery, because it doesn't, like, not everybody just opens up about their their struggles or their challenges, and like how to navigate life in the best way possible. And how I wonder, like, you were talking about boundaries, and you were talking about finding resources to help you navigate all of this experience. What can you elaborate in that? Like, what were the boundaries that you created for yourself, for example?
Not to take anything personally,
Mm-hmm.
how people interpretate me, and trying to be really aware of what I say, how I communicate with people, and also like setting the boundaries. Like, this is me experiencing this reality with you, and trying to always have that respect, no matter what. If I'm going through whatever it is in my mind, I can still respect you, and I feel like everyone deserves that in return. And I don't judge people and how they choose to live their life and react, on the daily, how you choose to communicate with me, because that is how they choose to communicate. And I think that that's very important. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's a very important advice for a lot of people, and for myself. And also,
Thank you.
Always try to do my best version of myself. Try to be my best. Try to say, okay, I'm going to smile more, you know, or if I see someone that is down, you know, and out, I'm going to remind them that they're here, because a lot of times when you feel disconnected, you end up looking depressed or alone, and want to isolate yourself because you don't know how to communicate that. And so always, always taking accounts that I'm not only living for myself, I'm living for the people outside of me too. That I'm
Yeah.
being, you know, people are always watching. So it's
Yeah.
just like, as also important to keep in.
Yeah. Wow. Those are very valuable
Yeah.
advices, I think. Like, no, really, really, I tell you, for myself and for I think for a lot of people
Yeah.
that will end up listening to these conversations, and like, it's just super important to talk about that setup of boundaries, to say, to like, request people to to give you the space to express yourself, the way, without, like, you're not asking them to do something wrong, or you're just telling them, I'm going through this today. I would really appreciate a little bit of space, or like, just sit down with me. Let's just observe that tree in front of us. That's all I need. I don't need to be questioned today. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to tell you, explain you what I'm going through with my thoughts, because that's also very overwhelming. But a lot of people do not know how to build that space, how to offer and hold that space. There is a certain uncomfortable feeling with silence and stillness, and not fixing. We
Right.
always go like, to, oh, okay, this person is suffering. I need to fix it. I need to fix it. It was like, no, no, you can just sit down, relax, and we can just paint a drawing together, or make a drink together, sit down in a park together, write
Silent.
together in silence.
Yeah. Be with someone to accompany you. And I think that I love those moments too. That's why I love friends who are open to that, even if it's just a brief phone call, like, hey, I just wanted to say hi. Okay, cool. All right. Everything good? Good. All right. I'm connected to somebody outside of me.
And how beautiful are those moments where you don't feel like the other person is just trying so hard to to compensate the things, because there's all this shame and pressure already in the person that is going through those thoughts, or to that mental process. And to add that on top, like, like, you already have a super giant cake with tons of chocolate and Oreos, and like, it's just, if you eat a half of that cake, you will have a diabetic coma. And then
Right.
your friend comes with 3 gallons of cream and puts, like, on top of the cake. So now you can only have a little piece without having a diabetic coma, So it's like, it's a very stupid metaphor, what I'm saying, but
Like,
you know what I mean. You get it. You get it.
I was like, yeah, you can't just, like, life is a lot to take in, you know what I mean? And so it's just like my dad always said, you can't have your cake and eat it too, you know? Like, that means you're not the only one here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a ton of people who want to, like, enjoy that piece of cake, and it's just like, and life is too much, and sometimes a little goes a long way. A little bit of time with the way you spend it, a little bit of just thinking positive, a little bit of doing something new every day is a big difference, you know, and pushing yourself and seeing what that is, you know, and change, just a little change goes a long way. I always tell that to people, even, and it goes to real advice. You know, I used to love when was a barista and people would be like, sorry, I'm just putting in a corner, and I'm like, change goes a long way. Like, it's true. Little bit of change, that's all we ask for. At least, like, when you see somebody who is down and out, you know what I mean? A lot of people just start assuming and judging. And you know what? I think that what we need to think about is being creative to change the way our system handles mental health, and how us as a whole, and families, and inside homes, and friends, and outside in the streets, like, what can we do, because we are a community. You know, it's almost like coronavirus. Nobody cares unless their family member passes and they're like, oh shit, it's real. Well, we are all suffering from something because we need that change, you know. And I respect artists who put that out there, you know, and that's what I choose to do as an artist, you know.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of your work. No, I haven't been to your space where you actually create, but I've seen some of your paintings, and I've spent some time with you. I had the grace of spending some time with you, just walking and talking with you in very deep conversations, and you know, to also hear your singing voice. And it's just, you know, this like multifaceted way of expressing ourselves, and not, you know, also not carrying this heavy burden of always having to label ourselves, right? To not always have to say, oh, I am only a painter, or I am only a singer, or am I only a dancer, or I'm only an engineer, or I'm only a teacher. You know, like you can be many things. You can just and find relief in anything, you know, like if that day you felt like baking a cake, and sorry, I'm not the best baker. I always like my cakes suck, really. I can say it
I
openly.
don't
Like I will never go to nail it, for example. But
it was probably that one experience. I'm pretty sure you could bake a cake.
but you know, I was, you know, just maybe that experience with like, you know, putting it maybe my feelings into the dough or into the flour, or combining things together, and maybe do something with love that could be shared later, help to me process an emotion, right? It's not you know, like not getting married to a square point of view of
Right.
ourselves and say I am this and I cannot move around,
Yeah.
you know. So like, wow, it's just
I
so
think
much
that's,
to learn.
yeah, I mean, going out for runs, you know, having control of what you see, you know, recording your life the way you want to record your life, you know, going out dancing, dancing in your home. Some days you'll just be like, man, something's wrong. Just get up and dance, do a little wiggle, put on your favorite song, you know, go take a shower, brush your teeth, like look in the mirror, you know, do something to where you're like, yeah, I'm here, I'm grounded, I am existing. You know, there's so many times I had like my own music videos in front of my own my mirror, you know. I'll
Yeah.
just paint my face, put on some crazy dramatic song and like act along with it. Like that is fun, you know? Like get yourself out of your own head, you know. Remember that you are have so much control, you know. Do some yoga, take care of your breath, you know, do
Mhm.
some writing, reread what you write, you know, respond to that, you know, like you're the only one who's going to understand yourself. And I think that writing goes a long way on that, you know, on knowing what you did, keeping yourself grounded on your habits is a big deal. I mean, that's why planners are around, right?
Yeah.
And it helps you focus on those certain professional fields. It can help you focus on your everyday life, you know. That's what I have learned too.
And
Um,
also like to find those places to that to find those support systems, right? Like if
mhm,
they're not offered by our broken system, like we can find people and decide, make the active decision. And that's also what you were saying about boundaries, to stay away from the people that are not providing anything good to our state, to our life, and to how,
right.
like how they make us feel. You can really like actively say, put boundaries to to these people, and start searching for the people that you really want to share your time with. Like it, you know, like if you like writing, find yourself a writing pal, or send a letter to someone, or you know, like grab someone and say, hey, can we just sit in the park and just write? We don't
Yeah.
need to talk. You know,
And
that's free.
and what I realized too is like I had to do one of those purging friends times in my life, and it led me to very, oh, I'm so alone, oh, why God you took away all these people in my life even though they were terrible to me kind of moment. And then like after a while it's just like it says that, you know, a lot of people are like, what's going on, what's wrong with me? No, you're just evolving, and it's time for you to know what it's like to love yourself on your own. You know, you learned a lot with those relationships. Now how do you love yourself? And then like when you move forward, God is going to bless you with other people, and then those other people, you're going to be like, oh, this are the kind of people I was kind of already ready for, but I didn't know that. And so I got to know myself, and I said, ah, this is what I like. You know what I mean? And then like, yeah, going that like that's how I feel when I met you. I was like, oh, look, really nice person, understands the areas, you know, very open, very loving, and like understanding, and has the same kind of level of compassion that I carry, and you know, expresses themselves freely, and actually is there to make a connection with other people, you know, not just a selfish kind of relationship, you know. And it's a beautiful thing to find people like you, and there's more people who are great, and you just got to find the greatness within you, so that when you're in your greatness, everyone's in their greatness, and you're just doing greatness together, and you'll be happy. And that's where I am now. I got new friends, you know, I kept the good ones, right? I figured out, okay, this is my best friend, you know, or this person I could definitely be with. And sometimes friends disconnect, and when you guys, you know, don't talk to each other a long time, you reconnect, and you're like, we both grew, you know, like it's like, oh my God, this is what happened. Oh my God, like now it's like you're re-meeting a whole new person, and those are precious relationships to think about, to embrace as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was talking the other day with one friend of mine about, you know, like this is not really, it's related but not related. Like, when you have a love interest or a relationship with a partner, why is there this like all of a sudden rupture or disconnection, or even, you know, like divorce from a marriage or anything? Is because the other person stopped growing, and you couldn't meet them in between. Like it doesn't mean that you have to do everything together,
Mm-hmm.
like, and that, but there is this understanding that you are, as the time goes by, you're growing, your mind and your experiences by nature expand. And if you can meet somewhere in the middle and you can share those experiences, like you do with a friend that you haven't seen for so long, but you know it's a dear friend, and you reconnect and say, hey, what happened last year, what
Yeah.
happened 5 years ago? If we could find that and do that with our love interests, our love relationships, perhaps we could really aim for long lasting relationships, or for even more just compassionate relationships between
Exactly.
partners.
But that's exactly what we need, more compassion for each other in whatever state of being that we're all in. And um and understanding, and kind of that open mindedness where you can build a bridge to say it's okay if we can agree to disagree, and I could still care about you as a person, you know. And
Yes.
um you know, but I think when it comes, I mean, that level is always great until, and I just think respect too. I always say respect, 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 because it's like, meaning respect, the other person is still living, so like whatever you are putting out there, they're they're receiving that too. So respect that, you know, that boundary. And yeah. um yeah.
RSPCT. I was like, okay, am I gonna be able to spell this? Okay, I'll do it. I'll do
I
it.
know, Ari, that song. It's my favorite song. It never gets old. I know how to spell respect because of that song. I know how to respect bananas because of Gwen Stefani. Like, you just thank God for those songs.
Oh my God, this is so
Nat
funny.
King Cole taught me how to spell love.
Yes. L,
Was
da,
it?
da, da, da.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
V is for a very, very extraordinary E.
I love that song. I love that song. That
Oh
song
my
is
God.
like in every family slideshow.
Yes, it is.
But
Oh
yeah.
man.
And
It's
love
so,
is important. You gotta love everyone like if you're loving yourself, because they're the outside versions of you. To me, that's how I see it.
yeah.
That's how I like um carry respect for people. I'm like, hey, like I was a baby one time, you know, and they were a little baby one time. Like, we all grew up, and you know, you gotta have love for that person's journey the same way you have love for yours.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if you are going through a journey, the other person is too.
you know?
And
Like, it's just imagining that if you or your life is such a conundrum of experiences and everything, every person that walks in the street, in the subway, everybody is going through their own conundrums. So I think what you said, like, it takes me back to this book that I keep on reading almost every year, of Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements.
yeah,
You know,
I love him. He's like, he like blew my mind with the way he speaks
yeah,
about viewing the world. And I think everybody should read that book.
yeah.
There's people who do classes, and there's like a whole school that go along and teach that way of being and living, and it's so healthy.
It's so good because it's what you're saying. Like, just do your best. Don't make assumptions. Be impeccable with your word, with the way you say things.
Right.
And the other one is, oh my God, be impeccable with your word. Always do your best. Do not make assumptions, and
I think
then
it's,
don't take anything personal.
yeah, there you go. That's the best one.
Oh my God. My acting teacher would be killing me right now. He's like, you don't know them after 1 year of working with me?
I can imagine. I was like, why don't I have that written on my wall?
Yeah, really. And that book is written in every language as well. You know, it's translated to all languages. And it applies to everybody that call themselves, that identify as human being.
Yeah,
I would say that, you know, like,
that's
you
like
can
the
be
best way to live.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
It was great talking about this. I know you have another meeting at 7, so I'm like looking at the time like, oh,
you're like
talking deeply, because I have a lot of stories about this topic.
Well, we still have like 5-6 more minutes. If you want to tell another story, bring it on.
I want to say, like, it's so important to make sure that you tell your partner that you're with, that you're dealing with this kind of stuff, if you're dealing with anything, because it's so easy for people to misinterpret you. So yeah, I just want everybody to just be so open. I think we're going to that generation too, so I'm so happy. Like, I heard one of the kids today say, yeah, I've just been grounded, you know, like he was saying, like he was trying to express to another student, his friend, that he didn't really want to do what they were doing, you know, and he just called himself grounded. And I know that like, I just, like, it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute, these kids are coming up, like catching on to these little terms that us people who are spiritual, you know, and like, you know, open-minded would like use. And I'm like, you're grounded? That's really cool. Like, who's teaching you? Like, what are you thinking about? And that's another thing. Like, the kids are talking to me about, do you believe in Jesus Christ as the Lord? And I think religion says a lot about how we choose to be, you know, like, because a lot of what I suffer from, they say that I suffer from schizophrenia because of the way I was raised and the experiences that I experienced. And so, like, it's interesting to know what a child is being raised with, you know, that trickles down to the way they perceive life and reality. And I think that we're in a world in America where it's like there's a bunch of different viewpoints on things, and it's hard to it's hard. You know what? I don't even want to get into this because
it's hard not to get confused. And like, you know, something that came up in every conversation that I've had in like this uncomfortable talks is the importance to, you know, introduce children to these conversations, to say, hey, it's okay if someone says that they're going through mental illness. It's, you know, opening them up for, like, for talking about, you know, sexual awakening, a lot of things about how they perceive their own spirituality, how they perceive things, you know, like, train them to talk about these little things. And even if you want to be mindful and wait for a little bit until they're a certain age, then make sure that when they reach your age, in your mind, you start having those conversations, you know?
Yeah, because you don't know, like, it's so hard to work in the school system because you don't know what the kids are already being taught at home versus what you're teaching. That's why they keep it very professional. But like with me, I'm so like chill with the kids. They just come up with these crazy like ideas and topics, and they feel open to express that. And I'm always like open to just listen. And I think that always reminding them that if the person is thinking differently, that's okay too. You know,
Yeah.
It's okay to say yes, but this is how I feel. You know, and yes, but I think this way, and it's a little different from you, and then continue the conversation like that. You know, so that we can start like having like an open-minded society where everybody's like, yeah, but yeah, this is how I experience life, and oh yeah, that's cool. And I noticed like the more I'm with my children, the more like open and free they are, versus like the other side, and it's pretty cool. Like, I'm actually proud of myself, even though I go through mental illnesses. It opens my mind even more to say, well, what everybody else is going through then, you know, and how can I, you know, navigate this world with respecting all of that, and kind of just like going through my own thing and also experiencing other people reality with them and having a good time, and, you know, vibing and talking is so important. That's why I love that you do this live chat. I'm like, oh, what you gonna talk about next time? You know, what's uncomfortable there? Like, that's so great. I know I'm gonna look at myself and be like, I was so uncomfortable in that moment there.
Yeah. Oh, but me too. Like when I was saying the metaphor about the cake, now that I think of it, I was like, what were you saying?
Yeah.
Why do you talk about that cake? Like, oh my God.
Like, freedom of speech, damn it. Freedom of speech.
Like, can we not edit the video here? Like, is there a button?
We're dropping dimes. We're dropping diamonds. This is good stuff.
I know. I really appreciate what you do. Well, my dear, thank you so much for your time. This was for me an invaluable lesson, an invaluable conversation. I hope that everybody out there reaching these conversations can really, you know, take a little moment to listen to this incredible Kassandra de Jesus artist, incredible human being, you know.
You're the incredible, honestly. Stop this.
Stop it. Oh, stop it. Okay. No, but thank you for what you do. Thank you for teaching children. Thank you for being brave, for speaking up your truth, and for also being super vulnerable here with me. I hold you. I hear you. I send you all my love, and I thank you again.
Thank you. I love you so much, and I hope to speak to you later, like out of this.
Oh yes, let's go. Let's go sit down in the park and just admire the trees.
Yeah, that's all we gotta do. I hope. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was definitely great talking here.
I send you a lot of love. Take care of yourself, okay?
Same here. I really do hope I see other things. Anyway, I don't know how to end this. I'm gonna just stop talking.
No, finish finish your idea. I think it's important.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I hope, like, you know, your journey as well, you know, on the doing more of these kind of chats with people, and, you know, I hope the best. I know you're not in New York anymore, right? So I know you're like.
I am.
Oh, you're in New York?
Yeah, I am in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Crazy! I thought you were in Mexico.
I went to see my family in December, but I came back.
Oh my God, you came back! And so I was like, I don't know how to like end this because I don't know when I'm gonna see you. Like, see you never. Like.
No, we will see each other. Let's make the appointment.
Yeah, all right. I'll talk to you about that next time.
All right, darling.
Bye, love. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.